on, we gotta go.
Decepticons! Rise up!
Awesome! That's what I'm talking about!
Now is the time for us to stand up. Together, as one.
Hello everybody and welcome, I'm Comedy Cam, and today we're going to be talking about the ending to Transformers 1 and its post-credit scenes, what it implies for the sequels. I'll be going full on spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie, please don't watch this video, go watch Transformers 1 in the cinemas, especially if you're a Transformers fan. You owe it to yourself to watch this on the big screen. Because I want sequels, and the best way we're going to convince Paramount that we want more movies set on Cybertron, it is to go see this film. Now for context for my UK viewers, I was lucky enough to go to an early screening in July, so that's why I've got all these videos geared up. Now, of course, if you're still watching this and you're in the UK, yeah, the film's not out yet unfortunately until October 11th, and I am just pleading with you guys, do not spoil this film for yourself. It is worth the wait, but it's also a terrible wait. Paramount should have really thought carefully about that release date.
Yeah, no, I picked up on that.
I picked up on that too.
So, Transformers 1. There's a lot to dissect. There's so much to explore, especially when it comes to the sequel potential, because a sequel for Transformers 1 will be happening if the movie does well. And well, based on the review scores and box office projections, I think it's fair to say that Transformers 1 will be a success, but of course, that is still undetermined. Regardless, the post-credit scene perfectly sets up Transformers 2, hoping they don't call it that. I'm sure they'll name it like War for Cybertron or something. And that's what the film will be about, as two factions were created at the end of this movie, the Autobots and Decepticons. First and foremost though, this movie is not connected to the live action films. Longtime movie producer of the series, Lorenzo Di Bavontroro, has been persistent in saying that all of the Transformers movies under Paramount are in one shared universe. Not only has this pushed back the franchise from reaching its full potential, but it's also a massive headache for us Transformers fans, who know that this is simply not the case, due to the many inconsistencies that dispute this. One theory as to why Lorenzo keeps on insisting this is a shared universe is to not wanting to lose the Bayverse fans. With those films making over $1 billion at the box office, he fears that if those fans go away, then so will that money. Directors such as Travis Knight, who worked on the Bumblebee movie, and Stephen Kilper Jr., who worked on Rise of the Beast, have both publicly confirmed that their movies are in a new canon, but have often had to refute that during interviews with Lorenzo's insistence. Josh Cooley, the director of Transformers 1, has publicly stated that Transformers 1 is in its own continuity, but in recent interviews has had to go back on that and say it's shared to the live action movies.
How would you describe the relationship between this film and the live action? It's canon, right? So like how much are you
Until next time, legends.
On one hand, it's good that Josh Cooley is allowed to do anything with the lore, but if he's changing so much of the lore, what's the point in saying it's canon? So, Lorenzo has stated that this movie allegedly takes place 3 billion years before the first live action movie.
No, Optimus!
Sure. Okay, there are a number of reasons how this simply cannot be the case, but the main one, which is easier to explain, is Sentinel Prime. In Dark of the Moon, Sentinel Prime was rescued by Optimus Prime, who was revealed to us to be the former Autobot leader and mentor of Optimus Prime, and fought on the Battle of Cybertron against the Decepticons. Sentinel Prime was thought to be an ally until the events of the film played out, where he was revealed to be a deceiver, secretly working with Megatron. In Transformers 1, Sentinel Prime is the leader, but not of the Autobots, and his deception was found out on Cybertron and was murdered by Megatron. So how can Sentinel Prime exist in Dark of the Moon when he was murdered and ripped apart by Megatron? So yeah, you can see how this is just, it's stupid, it don't work. Just like Rise of the Beast, it's struggling to find its identity, but then again, Transformers 1 has found its identity. It's an endless struggle.
Come on!
But enough about that, let's actually talk about the lead up towards that ending. And just as I mentioned, Sentinel Prime betrayed the 13 original Primes. As explained by Alpha Trion, Sentinel, a grubby little dirty bot who just wanted fame and power for himself, set up the 13 Primes by negotiating a deal with the Quintessons, who ambushed them and killed all 13 Primes. Sentinel wanted the Matrix for himself, however, as soon as Zeta Prime, the leader of the Primes, was killed, the Matrix returned back to Primus, as we all know that the Matrix of leadership is not found, but it is earned. But it wasn't all for nothing for Sentinel Prime, as he stole Megatronus's T-Cog, the strongest of the Primes, who apparently, according to Lorenzo, is also this guy. Wait, but didn't he die in... After uncovering the horrifying truth, Orion Pax and D16 seek justice for the Primes, but have very different ways of going about it. Throughout the course of the film, we see D16's dark side slowly reveal itself, becoming much more aggressive and seeking vengeance. What fuels this even more is his encounter with Starscream and the rest of the High Guard. After successfully overthrowing Starscream, he starts to gain a loyal following, Shockwave and Soundwave among them. But in this moment, Arachnid and Sentinel Prime's guard attack, capturing B, D16, and Starscream. Sentinel mocks and toys with D16, adding more to his anger, which amplifies when Sentinel carves his idol's face onto his chest, becoming the Decepticon insignia. After Orion Pax is successful in exposing Sentinel Prime for his crimes, D16 demands more justice to be done, but Orion tries his best to save his best friend from himself. Unsuccessful, D16 accidentally blasts Orion, but allows his friend to fall into the well of the Allspark, which leads Orion to the core. But this would be D16's biggest mistake, as Primus and the Primes see a hero worthy to possess the Matrix of leadership. After tearing Sentinel Prime apart, which gives me PTSD to Jazz and Bayverse, a now named Optimus Prime returns from the surface to take on a now named Megatron, who has just ripped out Sentinel Prime's T-Cog, which belonged to his fallen idol. Did anyone else cry when he says, "I'm done saving you"? That broke me up. That entire scene in the cinemas was absolutely amazing. After an epic fight between Optimus Prime and Megatron, Prime is triumphant and banishes Megatron from Iacon, telling him to take the High Guard with him. Optimus Prime is successful in giving the rest of the Minobots their T-Cogs and naming them the Autobots, declaring that they will defend the planet from the Quintessons. But the Quintessons should be the least of their worries, as Megatron takes the High Guard and names them the Decepticons, branding them with the new Decepticon insignia, in memory of his fallen idol. Now, as for the Quintessons, that I want to briefly talk about, and I say briefly because that's it. The Quintessons were very brief in the film. They had one scene in the entire movie, which was quite surprising, as I think we all assumed they'd have a much bigger role. Instead, the film chose to have Sentinel Prime as the big bad, which I think is fine, it worked, but the Quintessons were also part of that corruption. And I felt like more could have been done just to explain the Quintessons for casual viewers, because for us, as Transformers fans, we already know who they are, but like say your parents or your friends who you're trying to get into Transformers, they're not going to know, so you're going to have to do the explaining there on who those big green monsters were. So yeah, I expect to see the Quintessons in the sequel, but to be honest, there's a part of me that just doesn't want to see them at all ever again. Mostly because I'm just not that much into the Quintessons storyline. I feel like the Quintessons need to take a step back and could be used in another sequel and not Transformers 2.
Before His Imperial Majesty delivers a verdict, would you like to beg for your lives? It sometimes helps, but not often.
What I think needs to be done is to take inspiration from the High Moon Studios' War for Cybertron games. Don't make it a direct copy, of course, but make it like a full-on War for Cybertron. Don't add a second big bad. Just make it simply about the Autobots and Decepticons. That's what Transformers fans want. I mean, that's what I want. We don't need a third bad guy in a good guy and bad guy story. You know what I mean? So I feel like Optimus Prime and Megatron's relationship or friendship that's now been torn apart needs to be explored, how they both struggle with that, how they can deal with that, because while yes, Megatron has declared Optimus Prime as his new enemy, I don't think he outright wants to kill him, more so like, you know, teach him a lesson, proving him that I was right and you was wrong. That's what the film needs to be about. It's not about them two trying to kill each other. Like, no heads are going to be ripped off at the end of Transformers 2. At least I hope not. And if they did that, I feel like it'd be redundant to their story in Transformers 1. And I think trying to battle their inner conflicts especially will be really interesting to see. Megatron will not start off as an evil tyrant leader. I think Transformers 2 will slowly develop that as Megatron goes further into madness, you know, and I think Starscream will also be a great catalyst to that. You know, he's going to be slowly beating the shit out of Starscream throughout the course of the sequel, I imagine, and I think Starscream will somewhat represent Megatron's anger and rage throughout the film. Like, you'll see him probably just slap him a bit, but then as the film goes on, he's going to beat him even more and more. But there are just so many possibilities on what the sequel could be like. Like, this is intended to be a brand new trilogy, all set on Cybertron, so who knows what Josh Cooley, if he returns to direct, has got in store for us. I hope he returns. He did a really fantastic job with this movie. And don't even worry about the canon for the movies. You know, the TF Wikia has officially made separate pages for these characters because it's just so obvious this is a brand new continuity. All of us want this to be a brand new continuity, totally separate from the live action films. Now there is just so much about this movie to talk about, specific moments in the film, character development, etc. that I'll be saving for future videos, so of course be sure to like, comment and subscribe so you can get all updates instantly. Even though I have a bunch of Transformers 1 videos lined up, I will be giving some love to the live action movies as well. For over a year now, I've been working on a series which will be covering each Transformers movie in a unique way. I can't wait for you to see it. The announcement trailer will be going up on Wednesday, revealing what I've got in store for you guys, and then Friday the first video on Transformers 2007 will go up. So yeah, I've been making a lot of Transformers content behind the scenes. I'm gutted that my schedule was messed up due to annoying copyright issues, but regardless, I'm still super excited to show you what it is, and I think you're going to enjoy it. This is literally my best work on the channel ever, period. I feel like my YouTube career has all led up to these videos. I just love Transformers, man. What can I say? You know, when we're expecting to see a sequel to Transformers 2, I mean, we've got the G.I. Joe crossover movie coming out in 26. I don't think Transformers 2 will be done in 27. I think they're going to want to take their time with it. I mean, they might do a back-to-back again. You know, we've got Rise of the Beasts last year, and now we've got Transformers 1. We'll just have to wait and see. But regardless, I think the future is bright for Transformers. This is the first Transformers movie to receive overwhelming amounts of praise, and I think it's well-deserved. I truly believe that, you know. There's so many ideas for a Transformers film. We Transformers fans come up with our own ideas pretty much every day. You know, that's why there are great stop motions out there. We like to put our own ideas onto a screen. And when one film represents that in our mind, honestly, we've got to give it a big, massive clap, you know, and just hope for more just like this. Anyway, guys, I'm Common Cam. You're going to be getting a lot of me in these next few months. So many Transformers videos installed. Until then, goodbye.